Welcome to week 14 of Turn Up Bear Down. The Bears take on the Green Bay Packers this week as the two teams renew their historic rivalry on Sunday night. We have Matt Jansen here with us this week.
How we doing, baby? Bear down.
And
Big week here. Big week.
Packer week. And we also have Chris who'll be talking about the Packers with us.
Can't believe it's my third time on this show now.
Man, you're like a regular. You might be moved from special guest star to series regular. So, yeah, but
Appreciate it.
man, another great week of Bears football. Sorry to our 5 viewers out there that didn't get to see the graphics last week because we had to have an alternative show. So let's get into it. These two teams have already played. It was actually somewhat of a close game the first time, 24-14. The Packers took the win. But that was the one where Aaron Rodgers announced that he owns the Bears, which I feel like a lot of Bears fans weren't that offended because we just know, hey, he always beats us. He's 22-5 against the Bears. That's including the one postseason game. What do you guys have to? What are you guys thinking about just with the matchup of this game as we get into it? Yeah, excited.
It's a big game for the Pack. Really is. I mean, trying to get the North right, and the Vikings are taking care of business right now. But it's a divisional opponent, big rivalry game. Is it Aaron Rodgers' last game as quarterback of the Packers against Chicago?
Ooh.
Please let that happen. Please, I think. I don't need a gift for Christmas this year. Just please let that happen. And again, just piggybacking on that, Chris, is this Matt Nagy's last Bears Packer game? I think most of Bear Nation would hope so. And if you're Nagy, if you're Laser, like, what do you at this point? What do you have to lose? Like, I think Bears fans would really like to see, make some, go crazy with the creativity, man. You have nothing. You go completely against the grain here. Go against your tendencies. You have nothing to lose. Even if we make the playoffs, I really, outside of a deep postseason run, which it's a small chance as it is, he's gone, and I think Pace is probably going with him. So you have nothing to lose. Let's make Bears football fun to watch again, man. 2018. Santa's sleigh, you got different formations. It was fun to watch the Bears play anything other than defense and special teams. We had somewhat of an offense, So, and how much go-go juice will the Packers training staff put in Aaron Rodgers' toe? I think that's one of the biggest headlines. Obviously, the comeback. What was it? It wasn't 2018. It was 2019.
It was game 1, 2018. That was one of my least
so
favorite games
during
of
that
my
same
life.
year, the comeback and the stats or whatever you call that they put in Aaron's the extra cortisol that they put in his bloodstream. How much will that be flowing through that big, great a toe of his come Sunday night? And viewers out there, all of our thousands and thousands of viewers. Obviously, we work for the Bears, so we want to see them do good. I'm looking forward to the future. So I'm just excited to see Justin Fields back on a field. I've seen enough. I've seen enough of Andy Dalton for a lifetime. So, to see him with a headset on is really going to make me happy on Sunday.
Yeah, and I will say, you're talking about making Bears football fun to watch. I enjoyed the Steeler game. I thought that was kind of fun. I actually thought we were gonna pull that one out. It would be 4-5, or we would be 4-5, and we had a chance. And man, we lost that one, and then we had the Goodwin touchdown that might have saved our season. Then we managed to lose that one, and yeah, we kind of knew it was coming this week against the Cardinals. But I don't know. It's like we've got smoked by the Cardinals, and now we have to go to Lambeau, which we struggle to beat the Packers anyway. So really is a perfect storm for just, you know, the end of the season. But guess what? We still have 4 more games even after this one. So, anything could happen. 8 and 9 could get you in the playoffs, right?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, maybe someone else could be the Nickelodeon and MVP this time.
Yeah, I think that Matt Nagy needs to get slimed. So
yeah, Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I think he needs to get slimed.
Yeah.
I would also say, just kind of coming into it, uh, I know the comments Matt LaFleur made. Obviously, I know it's a rivalry, but really internally in that locker room, how serious do they take us this week? Let's be honest. I mean, they're professionals. It's obviously a rivalry, but it hasn't been since a lot of them have been there, and a lot of them have been here this year or beyond, or the last couple of years. It hasn't been a rivalry. So, um, how serious are they going to take us? I know they want to take care of business, take care of the top of the, and win the North and work towards that number one seed and beyond. So, just going to be interested to see. They're at home. It's been even harder to beat them at home. But I think the last time we beat them at home, Tracy Porter intercepted Aaron Rodgers. That on Thanksgiving. That was on Thanksgiving evening,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
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 And
That was Brett
what year
Favre's
was that? 14, 15? That was
15.
15.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Devontae dropped the touchdown that would have won it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Times have changed since then. I mean, look at where he's come in the last 6 years to arguably the top receiver in the league. And at that point in time in 15, he was getting booed out of town. So,
Yeah. All right, let's get into it with some of the keys to the game. So we'll talk about the Bears, and Chris, you can talk about the Pack. Uh, in my opinion, we need to run the ball well. It does say that Montgomery had a little bit of an injury in practice, so we were talking about Khalil Herbert before we started, and he might have to be more of a factor. And he ran well against the Packers last time we played. I think he had like almost 100 yards and a touchdown. Bears are gonna have to get a lot of turnovers. That's really the only way that maybe they can get in this game. And aside from that, just let Fields play. Like, give him the keys to the car and let him go and take us wherever we're gonna go, even if it ends badly. Like, let's just do it. Matt, what do you have to say about the Bears?
Yeah, no, and you said it. Run the ball effectively. Fantasy managers, if I'm out there looking for possibly like a RB2 to start, spot start, whatever, pick up Khalil Herbert because if David Montgomery doesn't play, Khalil Herbert will get legit 20 touches. You know, so and he'll be their workhorse. They'll use him quite a bit. But we have to run the ball effectively, keep the ball out of Rodgers' hands. Um, we have to somehow create turnovers, and for our defense, for how many years that was one of our, especially when Lovey was our head coach, that was our bread and butter. We could always create turnovers. That was never an issue for us, right? We just couldn't on offense stop turning the ball over when he was a head coach. But and I think the biggest thing, again, especially against a guy like Aaron Rodgers, is when you are in the red zone, you have to score touchdowns. You cannot kick field goals.
Yeah.
And I know we could say that about any week, but especially against a guy like Aaron and against a Green Bay offense and a team like this. So we do get down in the red zone. We just that's when our best plays. The best execution has to come out. Creativity, like I said, because you're in such a short area, we have to score touchdowns in those red zones. So that's all I had, Chris. I'm gonna kick it over to you up in chilly Neenah, Wisconsin. Go ahead, bud.
yeah. So keys of the game: protect the ball for Green Bay. I mean, that's been the Packers' MO for as long as Rodgers has been the quarterback of the team, right? Very, very limited turnovers. With the the fluke fumble here and there from a Jones or a Dillon, but Packers have been pretty successful at protecting the football this year, as well as number 3, they're controlling the clock. Um, 2 games stick out, as a Packer fan this year, watching the Cardinal game, watching the Rams game. The Packers really took care of the football, kept the explosive offenses off the field. So on a chilly night at Lambeau Field, you got to think that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are both going to be heavily involved. And they're going to be trying to move the sticks and put together, some chunk, 6, 7, 8 minute drives here, right? And exploiting the Bears' weaknesses. Obviously, Mac is out. The pass rush is a little limited, but you got guys like Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith too that can, they're difference makers on the other side of the ball. So, I would think that the Packers need to try to force some turnovers with an inexperienced quarterback and try to pressure Justin Fields, and that's the way that the Packers are going to have to play in order to come out victorious here.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at some of these key players. So for the Bears, it's going to obviously start with Fields. Uh, again, like I was saying, give him control of this game and let him play and see what he can do. Jalen Johnson's going to have to come up big because he's going up against Devontae Adams, depending on if he stays with him or moves to their side. And then with no Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, he's really had a great year, and he needs to be able to get to Rodgers a few times in this game if we have a chance. Matt, what do you think about these players, or are there any other guys that stick out to you that are really important for us during this game?
Yeah, Chris did. When watching that Rams game, and I watch a lot of it, but not quite everything. Did they shadow Devontae with Jalen Ramsey?
Not really. Jalen was really sticking to one side of the field, and there were multiple times too where the Packers kind of created, using motion to put Ramsey, say, on a Josiah DeGuara, which left Devontae in the slot and led to a couple deep plays. So, and in fact, Rodgers was 7 for 7 when targeting Ramsey, or receivers guarded by Ramsey over the course of that game.
Yeah, isn't that weird? It seems like the days of the shadow doesn't exist that much anymore, does it? Maybe it does in playoff football. Maybe you mix it up, but it really does seem like corners are either not they don't want to switch because they don't want to be vulnerable, or maybe it's just scheme dependent. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, I would love for our best guy to be on to literally shadow Devontae. I do think Matt LaFleur does a really good job in his game planning and his preparation and then his adjustments. I do think he's up there. I have to give him credit. He's got a great first name, by the way. And also, I do think he does a really good job of in game adjustments, which look on the other sideline. Could we say the same thing about Matt Nagy? Absolutely not, right? He's a shoe salesman. So, really, like I do think that the Packers are still going to have some. Obviously, they're going to have some success. The Bears' defense, even at full strength, the Packers would still have some success on. Chris, you mentioned running the ball. Akeem Hicks is huge in the run game and stuffing the run, and he's been out for quite a bit now. So
Is he back this
haven't
game?
really you don't have someone that's going to be you can't replace that. So um, what I also see is obviously we'll talk about Justin Fields. That's a huge part. As much as I want to see him do really well, I just want to see him stay healthy. So developmentally and so he progresses this year, he can finish the year throughout the next 4 games and build off of this going into his sophomore year. So if something happens, if we try to, whatever, God forbid, it gets hurt, I do think that's gonna maybe push back his timeline a little bit. And even though hopefully we got a new coach and a new regime next year, I do think these last 4 games can help him build as he moves forward. Um, Passing game, someone besides Darnell Mooney, please make some plays. We're waiting for it.
Cole Kmet.
We say that name a lot, right? Even Jimmy Graham, but they don't use Jimmy Graham except when they're in the red zone. We have the least amount of passing attempts in the NFL. We are second worst in yards, or I should say, in total passing yards for the season. We only have 6 more than the Texans, and you know why? That's probably because Andy Dalton had the first 300-yard passing game that a Bears quarterback has had, you know, since Abraham Lincoln's been in office. So I want to be optimistic here. Obviously, we want to see the Bears do well, Scott. But how are we going to be able to make up for some of these losses? We're talking short fields, some special teams. Um, we cannot generate it on offense purely alone, right? So we always talk about getting extra possessions, but I do think this should be kind of an evaluation game the next stretch for us as we continue to evaluate the players that we have in our roster. Like a Cole Kmet, is he really our franchise tight end? Well, let's start to feature him more. What do we have to lose? I know we can still make the playoffs, but
Playoffs?
yeah, let's
You kidding me?
let's let, let's broaden the scope a little bit and just look long term. Um, so again, is Goodwin going to be able to play or not? I'm not sure. Montgomery obviously is a huge factor because he is a special back. So those are the ones that I had for the Bears. I'm really looking forward to seeing somebody else besides Mooney maybe kind of start to develop into something that we could maybe uh, conjoin with Mooney, as a nucleus for our offensive core.
Yeah.
But we're going to see kind of what we have left, and I know Allen Robinson is possibly going to play. He's obviously out, so um,
Yeah.
featuring him, not featuring him means nothing to me because he's not going to be wearing a Bears jersey next year. So
One
you know,
thing, one thing I will say with what you went over before we send it over to Chris is simply that Justin Fields, though he hasn't thrown like the 300-yard game like Andy Dalton, he did throw for nearly 300 against the Steelers. Um, and I guess he got hurt against the Ravens and hasn't really played since. But coming off that game, and then watching Dalton for a few games, he gives us that other dynamic that we just don't have without him. And he really does make things happen and he opens up plays. Now, he hasn't been great. He's been a rookie. He's looked like a rookie. But also, I feel like this offense is broken because we got curls, curls, curls. And with that, we're going to send it to Chris to talk about the pack.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, as far as the key players for the Packers, really go without saying. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is, he is the focal point of this whole rivalry right now, right? Especially after his self proclamation of ownership of the Bears and their fan base. Well, those Bears fans in the corner end zone were flipping them the bird after he ran that one in, but
mothers and sisters.
But he's put together some of his best performances. I mean, seriously, against Chicago, and he gets up for these games, and Devontae Adams is going to have a huge game too. Randall Cobb, who started to come on for the Packers here. He's going to be out for a decent amount of time here with a core injury, and Devontae is going to have to play well. MVS is probably going to get a deep target or two, and Lazard, the other wide receiver, he usually plays pretty big in the run blocking game. Actually, he doesn't have the greatest hands, but he plays a really good role on that offense. So it's Aaron, it's Devontae, and then defensively it's Kenny Clark. Matt, you mentioned Akeem Hicks. When he's healthy, the difference that he makes in the game. Well, Kenny Clark is the Packers version of that, and he's getting better every single year. The defense really is, he's their leader. And then you also got a guy like Devontae Campbell who should be able to play. He's in the COVID protocol right now, but they're saying that he should be back tomorrow or Saturday for the walkthrough. So he should be able to play on Sunday. But yeah, Packers Bears Sunday Night Football. I mean, it's I don't want to say throw the records out the window because the rivalry has been, it has been what it was, or what it continues to be. But looking forward to a good one.
And with that being said, we'll get into some predictions. My prediction is what you would expect from a disheartened Bears fan, but I got the Packers 35, the Bears 14. It just feels like it's hard for us to generate much on offense. Half the time we don't know who's playing. We like if Montgomery doesn't play this week, that changes everything up once again. And I feel like the Packers have been rolling in Lambeau, especially against the Bears. Last year, it was pretty bad at halftime. I think it was like 31-14, maybe at half, or 31-7. I don't remember exactly, but it got bad fast last year. And yeah, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking that the Packers will win by, maybe that 35-14 margin. Maybe I'll go 34-16, just to change it up a little bit. But reality is Packers are playing for a heck of a lot right now. Bears are, they have an inexperienced leader at quarterback, but Matt alluded to it, when you're facing a team that has nothing to lose and pride to gain and maybe some extra motivation with some of the comments that were made, by number 12 the last time they played. When the Packers and Bears play, weird things happen.
That is for sure.
Special teams, fumbles. I mean, you name it, things can happen. So
there's always one or two weird plays that doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah.
last time Fields thought he had that flag, so he threw in the end zone and gets picked, and they're walking back to the huddle thinking that there was a flag and it didn't get called. So
Which should have been I
yeah.
agree. That was a neutral zone infraction.
Kind of
That
changed the
should have been
game
called
because
on
it
that.
was 7-0, I think, or 3-0 maybe.
Momentum shifter.
After that, it just felt like we were done for. So
Yeah, I agree.
And
This
then
type of stuff that can happen.
think about that fumble. Remember,
I'll never
Aaron
forget that
fumbled in
fumble.
2013 in
Yep.
that Week 17 matchup, and was it Cobb? Who was it that picked it up? It wasn't Cobb? Was it? It was someone else?
It
Should have been a trivia question. It was
it,
Jarrett Boykin.
Jones?
Jared,
It was
that's
Boykin.
right. Scooped it up. Dude, I almost broke my TV in that moment. Like I was screaming to grab the ball. I don't know, Scott. Were you doing the same thing?
I was just mad. Yeah.
Chris, were you? I mean, were you?
I mean, I'm
Were
still
you
thinking about.
screaming to at least jump on it, or were you like, oh, that's probably incomplete? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I remember laughing because when Boykin picked it up, he looked like he was gonna flip it to the ref, if I remember correctly, and Rodgers like tapped him on the shoulder and like pointed towards the end zone, like keep running, and then he just took off and ran, and they called it a touchdown, and then the amount of replay that goes on in a televised game, and it was clear that it was a fumble. I think it was it Peppers that had the strip sack on that? It may have been. But yeah, that's
it was Peppers.
We don't say that name on this channel, all right? He was a Bear and went to a Packer, Chris. So we don't say that. We don't say that name on this channel. Okay?
How about Adrian Amos?
What
do you say? What do you say, Jim McMahon next?
The player
Jimmy.
Peppers barely missed Rodgers to win the division and win that game, and then Rodgers hit Randall Cobb for like 48 on 4th and 4 or something, and oh my gosh, that was terrible.
I went into depression for a week, guys. I'm not. When depression's a serious thing. I went into a state of depression for a week after that game. I was on Christmas break down in Arizona. I could barely get off my couch. I could not stop thinking about the 4th and 2 play. I'm not serious, man. But anyways, getting back on here. I'm doing better now, by the way, viewers. 3-2, Bears win. Robert Quinn decapitates Rodgers in the first quarter, and we beat Jordan Love. All right, so 3-2, Vegas. When this hits, you come talk to me.
No,
Bears,
no,
3-2.
that will not
Okay.
be correct because Jordan Love is not playing in this game.
Right?
Oh,
wait,
he's on the
okay.
COVID list. I'm pretty sure.
So then you got that kid that has been on has just got called up, right? What's his name, Chris?
Kurt Bankert.
There you go. Good.
Number 7.
Banker, that's about it.
We probably will hurt Rodgers. This kid will come in and beat us.
I've seen Brett Hundley beat the Bears at Soldier Field before.
Yeah, that was awful. That was one of the most embarrassing losses of all time. That was Trubisky's first year, I think.
This is his first start.
Hey, I also saw Caleb Haney make that playoff game a lot closer than it should be, Chris Hamling. So
yeah, he got us to the 20-yard line.
Let's be honest.
Third string quarterback comes in because for some reason they thought Jonathan Quinn was better than him for 2 minutes.
If BJ Raji could have just been a normal defensive lineman and didn't have any hands, then we'd be talking about something different.
Well, I guess that will do it for another great episode of Turn Up Bear Down. Excited.
Hold on. Oh, viewers, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. Okay. We got our trivia question for our panel here.
All right.
Okay. Question of the night is: who is the NFL leader in 20-plus yard plays in the NFL as of right now? Doesn't necessarily have to do with Bears Packers. NFL leader in 20-plus yard plays in the NFL. I'll give each of you one guess.
Like of all time or this year?
Just this year.
20-yard plays?
Mm-hmm. It's not Tom Brady.
It's either Kirk Cousins.
Might be after this game.
Or Mooney.
Dalvin Cook. Okay.
Derek Carr has 60 20-plus yard plays.
Wow.
That's 9 more than Tom Brady as of right now.
Wow.
Derek Carr.
And that's 20 more than any Bears player. Did you say 60 of them?
He's got 60.
No, that's 40 more than any Bears player.
He's got 60, yeah.
Yeah, I
Man,
didn't even
Carr's
know.
really overcoming a lot with all the stuff the Raiders have been through this year.
Yeah, not
Yep.
trying to be negative about my team on our show about our team, but I didn't even know you could have a play of 20 yards.
Okay, we're gonna cut that. We are absolutely cutting that. You're not putting that out on that. You are not publishing that.
I
But
probably
do not cut this. This is my third time on the show, but my first time as official shareholder of the Green Bay Packers. So,
That's
you know,
awesome.
just thanks for allowing an NFL owner to join you guys just to talk football
Mhm.
on a Thursday night while my wife sits here on her phone
Kitty.
and waits for me to get done with this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No,
amazing.
that's cool, man. I don't know. How many other are there any other organizations in the NFL that do anything like that?
I don't not only NFL. I don't think there's any in professional sports.
That is
Okay.
pretty cool.
What about what about the Brewers, Chris?
Hold on, pick six Steelers here. Brewers do not do that. Oh, you guy's slow. This guy's slower than Wayne Gretzky in NHL '98 on Sega right now. I mean,
That's amazing. Good reference.
Dude, I would take Don Zimmer as my coach, or not Don. Yeah, Mike Zimmer. Don
Mike
Zimmer's
Zimmer?
the baseball coach. I'll take Mike Zimmer.
Isn't Don Zimmer the guy that Pedro Martinez punched in the head?
Yeah, threw him to the ground. Yeah, I'll take Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer. Does Mike Zimmer have the highest voice of all NFL coaches? Ever listen to Mike talk?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think we're going to cut it right here, though. Thank you for joining us for another great week. You got some bonus footage this week. Don't forget, Bears fans, to turn up and bear down.